Hello, everybody, and welcome to Across the Pond. This is a show where every month me and QJ get together and we talk about the films, books, and video games that we have enjoyed in the month. We are currently both doing a 52-52, which means we're doing 52 of a thing in 52 weeks. Currently, we are 26 weeks in, so whoa!
Yeah, except my video
we're
games.
Halfway there. Whoa!
What? Please don't do that.
Don't interrupt.
Please don't do that, Dan.
Don't interrupt.
No, Dan.
Me.
No.
I was trying to do karaoke.
No karaoke. My video games are starting to be more like a 12-12 than a 52.
26-52.
No. 26-52.
You can't even do 26.
Oh gosh. No, like if we say that my goal has been like 1 game a month instead of 4, I'm more than on track.
To be fair, right? Because you were trying just to catch everyone up. You were trying to play 52 games in 52 weeks across this year.
Yeah.
And you were trying to read 52 books. And is it right to say that was a bit overambitious?
Of course it was. And I knew it was, but it's helped motivate me to do more things with my time. Unfortunately, I've been doing other things with my time that are just not necessarily worth talking about on a recording. Although I've been reading lots of comic books too, and that's been really fun. And I've also been watching movies, which is really your goal more than mine. But hey, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, normally we start with your video games. So I believe you've played one video game this month.
Yeah, and
I'm
not quite finished with it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because I really like it. I have been playing Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on 3DS, and it's like the perfect game for me. I love it.
Good. I haven't played it.
Really,
That was such a weird silence. I thought you had more points, and you just
No, I was waiting.
You just stopped.
I was waiting for you to feed off on me. Whatever. I really like this game. You haven't played it at all?
No, I played the first one though. The first one's
okay. Yeah, Spiegel says that the first one's a lot simpler, which I understand because in Dark Moon there's actually a lot going on. There's like gems and keys and secret booze that you have to find, and you have to look in so many things. And I find like secret gold puppy dog bones that I later had to find out the use for. And there's lots of different like bats and spiders that you have to defeat, and some of them have money in them, and some of them have hearts, and some of them are just stupid that you have to suck into your little vacuum. And like there's a lot of different options for what you have to do as far as action. Like you can throw fire at things and fill buckets with water and water plants, or use those buckets to weigh down levees and like go up and down elevators and yank on chains to activate certain things, and use your flashlight to scare spiders. Like there's just so many options, and I have so much fun trying to figure out. Stop it! My cat.
Cat problems.
My cat is drinking milk out of my cereal. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about a video game.
You're talking about Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of stuff has been carried over from the first one, like because you used to be able to get water and fire and stuff, and use your flashlight. I think you'd actually, I imagine you'd probably enjoy the first one if you did, and I'd be interested to see what you think of that because I really like the first one. It's a very unique game.
Yeah.
Because it plays like nothing else. Like, it's really good. It's really well designed.
Yeah, I've certainly never played any game like it. It's not like any Mario-themed game I've played, because it's not technically a Mario game, because now the younger brother is in the spotlight. But it incorporates, I feel like, a lot of things that the other Mario games have. Like, you still have to collect money, but instead of, like, taking them through boxes or just finding them in front of you on the ground, you have to, like, go through, like, garbage cans and toolboxes and, like, just tear tumbleweeds out of the ground, and suddenly there's coins there. And
well, in the first one, it was just, like, tap on things, like, suck them with your vacuum, and just money, like, dollar bills would just explode from stuff. It was awesome.
It's fun.
And then it was just, like, suck up all the money with your vacuum.
Like, I'll open up an air vent, and it's like, money, make it rain. And I'm like, how is all this money getting into this haunted house? Like, did just a super rich person die and leave all these ghosts here with all this cash? It's pretty great. And these gold bricks.
Well, in the first one, I know there's probably a reason for it, but I've never looked it up. But in the first one, the ghosts created the mansion to trap you. So it's like, why is there real money here? If everything else has been, like, magically created by the ghosts, why is the money real? I don't
know.
Where did the money come from? Why have they put so much money in this house? Why?
Well, the money
doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess to lure you in, maybe?
I don't know. And then when I gather enough money, my gadgets get, like, updated, which I'm not sure how that makes sense. I bring the money back to Mr. Professor Egad, who's a jerk, by the way. He's always like,
I love Egad.
Luigi, are you ready to go into the haunted house? And Luigi's like, no. And he's like, okay, great. Like, you're gonna go in there and do my job, and I'm gonna sit here and eat popcorn and watch you almost die. And and like at one point he's like, for this thing, maybe you should shave your mustache before you go in. And then there was no follow-up. And I'm like, I don't understand why you say the things you do. This just doesn't make any sense. And then they still incorporate the whole safety 3DS thing, where in a lot of games they're like, you've been playing for a while, you should take a break so your eyeballs don't fall out.
That so much.
But after every mission, Professor Egad's like, okay, so now we have the ghost in the vault. Before you go on your next mission, maybe you should go wash up. Or, like, maybe you want to go down to the vault and play with the ghosts for a little while. But then I always think that means that he's gonna, like, go on some sort of tangent or something. But then immediately he's like, let's do the next mission. And so I was like, oh, that's the 3DS's way of making me try and take a break from the game, which I'm not gonna do.
I absolutely despise how Nintendo kind of shoved that into every game. It really irritates me. Like Skyward Sword had it up the wazoo. Like, if you ever play Skyward Sword, which is abysmal, every like 5 minutes, Phoebe will just be like, "Oh, do you want to take a break?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah, because I don't want to play this horrible game anymore. But also, no, I'm playing a video game. Let me choose when I want to. Like, why do that? If any other video game did that, people would like flip. If Civilization was like, you haven't stood up for about 6 hours, do you want to take a break?
Well, yes, Dan,
like,
that's called having friends that care about you and the blood flow in your body. Anyway.
Well, like, it's just bad. It really annoys me.
Yeah.
I just can't handle that.
But anyway, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, it's the perfect level of challenge for me because all the little, like, puzzles and things you have to figure out are right at, like, my level, and they're not too easy to... they're not too hard to figure out, and they're also not too difficult to execute. Although I admit I've had to use a game guide like once or twice, but it's always been stuff like, I should have definitely figured that out on my own. And I don't know, it's stuff I've never had to figure out in a game before. And I don't mean like it's never been in a game. It's just like I haven't played that many games, so I haven't encountered this yet. But like I'll be in a room and I won't know where to go, and I'll be like, oh, I have to climb onto that box and walk on that trail of boxes that wasn't even clear to me, because no one told me about it, which I'm glad. I like figuring things out on my own. And, like, I was in this other room where I had to blow on this fan, and the fan activated this digital clock, and I had to make it match the same time as an analog clock, and that set off an alarm to wake up a ghost out of its bed, and the ghost had, like, pajamas on. It was really cute.
Nice.
And I loved, like, figuring that kind of stuff out. Like, you just have to look around and be like, oh, there's two clocks. I should make them match. And so that's really fun.
If it's anything,
very adventurous.
If it's anything like the first game, I assume it just doesn't hold your hand and it just puts you in and just goes, do it. Yep. Do the puzzles, work them out. And I really like that about the first one. Like, it just, there's no tutorials. There is a tutorial, but it's not like, it doesn't really hold your hand. It just puts you in the mansion. Yeah. It shows you how to play the game, and then it puts you in the mansion, and it just says, work it out. Like, it's kind of cryptic and confusing at first, and, like, at times you're like, what do you want me to do, game? But the game isn't going to tell you. You've got to actually think.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that, especially about the first one. I'm kind of making assumptions that the second one does all these things, because I haven't played it. But
yeah, I would think it does. Yeah. And thankfully, all the different rooms with all the different doors don't confuse me as much as they normally would. My favorite part of the game, though, is the polter pup, the little ghost puppy with the collar that runs around stealing all the things, and, like, every every world, I guess, as it would be called, there's, like, one level where I have to follow him around with my magic flashlight and follow his paw prints through the room, and he goes through the walls, and then I have to, like, go through a door and find him in a room adjacent to that, and he comes out and, like, jumps on me and licks my face and then runs away. And he's just so cute. And whenever I die, he, like, comes in and he, like, licks my face, and then I get an extra life because he wakes me up from my death. He's so cute. I want one.
That's pretty great. So, is that the only video game you've played this month?
Yes. That's the game I've been putting all my time into.
Nice. I mean, that's fair. Like,
nice.
So, yeah, moving on.
Books. Books.
Cat books.
Have
you read any cat books?
I have not read any cat books. No? There's one cat in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which I read for the 6th time in my life. But this time I read the British text. No, you shut up. You're a nerd.
Do you have do you have English phrases that you picked out that you said you'd do ages ago?
Okay.
Did you actually find it?
So this book is about 350 pages long. There's like 70 sticky notes in these pages, all different colors, for like different types of phrases I was able to find. And it's weird because I don't know, the phrases themselves are like not that interesting. They're just like, I see them and I'm like, that's not how you say that.
Go on.
I don't know, there's a part where like, I think in the American version, Ron says like, who told him to like snitch on Hagrid anyway? And he says, who asked him to grass on Hagrid? And I've never heard that before. Like, what does that even mean? Does that mean to tell on someone?
Yeah, it just means to tell on them.
Okay, I've never heard that before.
Like, okay. I didn't know that was even a specifically English one.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot where like we're like, oh, what does
you
that
just don't
mean?
even realize.
Like, I didn't know.
I was expecting you to say that he said that like the word dob, because dobbing on someone is also, I assume, an English term for that.
To dob?
Unless you have that one. Yeah, to dob on someone.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if that's why...
Do you not have that one?
No. I wonder if that's why that's Dobby's name.
It might be, but I don't know if the term came after Harry Potter. Because I don't know when Chamber of Secrets was written.
Shoot.
It's like 2002, maybe?
No.
2001?
Maybe.
It was around then, wasn't it? Because I don't know when the term
I'm really terrible at
came in.
dates. But, like, yeah, because Dobby's always popping in, like, telling on his owners, being like, Harry Potter, I love you. So I wonder if that came from his name, because J.K. Rowling does that with all the names she invents.
There could be a connection there, yeah.
I'm looking at all my sticky
notes. Are there any other
notes.
specific ones?
Well, there's one I remembered from Philosopher's Stone, where they're like going into the Forbidden Forest, and in the American version, Filch says like, well, that's your problem, isn't it? And in this one, he says, that's your lookout, isn't it? And I'm like, what the heck is that supposed to mean?
I don't even know that term.
No?
Like, I wouldn't connect that as a specifically English thing. That just seems like a weird thing to say. I mean, that just might be me being ignorant, but... Oh man, classic Filch.
Yeah.
Filch shows up in Game of Thrones, and it's like...
He shows up in Game of... What?
Yeah, as in the actor of Filch shows up in Game of Thrones, and... Oh, he's good. I love that guy.
Okay.
He's one of the best.
Well, a lot of this stuff is like...
Just,
A lot of the other stuff is just like little words, like... At one point, Ron was like trying to scrub like slime off of this like trophy, and instead of like, he says it took ages to shift the slime, and I'm like, shift it like it's a block, like you're
as in to move it. Yeah.
That's, I don't know. And then at one point they were all like walking to class, and it says crocodile fashion, which I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before. Like they were moving. Like, they all look like...
I've never heard that.
Okay, so this is pointless. J.K. Rowling just making up her own phrases.
J.K. Rowling, what are you on about, mate?
I don't know.
What are you chatting?
And I noticed I thought in Chamber of Secrets, because of the whole Moaning Myrtle thing, they spend a lot of time in the bathroom, but they shift between using the term bathroom and using the term toilet. And I thought I didn't think you guys ever use the word bathroom.
We don't really. We usually just refer to it as the toilets.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe... I mean, we do use the term bathroom, but not that much, really. Like, if it's like a public toilets, that's not a public bathroom, really. It's a bathroom if it has a bath in it, as far as I can tell. As far as I would use the term. Like, it might be different for me or J.K. Rowling. Like, we're different people. But,
yeah, I suppose you are different people. That's a very good thing.
Or are we? Or am I J.K. Rowling secretly?
I don't think so.
Although I feel like this grammatic...
I'm not saying it's like...
differences in Harry Potter across culture is not very good, interesting listening material.
No, but you want...
I've only just realised that no one is actually going to care.
That's okay. Well, there's a point when they're flying the car and they hit the ground and Fred Weasley says touchdown. And I'm like, that's American football. Why they don't... I don't know. But that's not even
I don't know.
I'm sure he means like the car's touching down on the ground. But I didn't know that phrase touchdown was used at a different point.
Don't they use that in aerospace stuff? Like when a rocket lands on the moon, don't they say 3-1 touchdown?
I don't know if they have a football with them.
I'm not sure. Basically, I'm not sure that term is a specifically American football term. Like, I feel like if a plane lands, don't they say that? I think maybe.
Maybe. I don't remember reading it in
I'm not 100. I'm not
this.
100% sure on that, but I feel like maybe that's a thing.
I feel like this
That might be what it might not be an American football reference.
this
Is my point.
might not have been
It
as
could
interesting
be.
a conversation
It might not
as I might have thought, but I
No.
really enjoyed putting all the sticky notes in there, and this was my favorite read through of Chamber of Secrets. This is my sixth time reading it, and I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like most of the times I read this book, I'm just looking forward to reading the next ones because I love book 3 and
Yeah.
I love book 5, 6, and 7, and like
Yeah.
the later books just get so much better that whenever I'm reading Chamber of Secrets, I'm like,
Nah,
I just can't wait for this to be over. But I was really focused on this book this time, and I don't know, I got really emotional towards the end, and I just really enjoyed the story for what it was. It's wonderful series, wonderful book, and there's lots of sticky notes in it.
Fun fact: as a non-Harry Potter fan, Chamber of Secrets is my favorite Harry Potter book.
Nice.
Well, film. I haven't read the book since I was about 6 or whatever. But yeah. Like I think Chamber of Secrets is really good because I don't know. I like the detective element of trying to work out who's freezing people.
Yeah.
I like how people froze because they saw like the basilisk in a mirror and through a lens and all that stuff. I think that's really cool, and I love Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah.
Gilderoy Lockhart is my favorite Harry Potter character. I love how
He's horrible.
He's so obviously just an imbecile and a
Well-
fraud. But then they're just like, "You go fight the basilisk." Mate.
He's like, no. My
And
favorite
he's just crapping himself. He's like, "Oh no, please don't."
My favorite line from the
So
book
good.
is when on Valentine's Day he's like, everyone should cheer up and like send each other Valentine's cards, and he's like, you should all ask Professor Snape to whip you up a love potion, and it's like Professor Snape glared at them all as if the first one to ask him for a love potion would be force-fed poison.
Oh man, that's
I
good.
love that line. But yeah, it's a
yeah.
good book. J.K. Rowling's really good at writing detective stories because I really normally don't like
Yeah.
detective stuff that much, but the mysteries in her books are really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like where Harry Potter goes later on. I think it gets far too serious and kind of up itself as a story. I don't want to have that argument, but that's just my opinion.
We don't have
like,
to have
really,
that
like
argument.
some of some of the elements in the early books I can really appreciate because I think they're just kind of clever and they're kind of cute and fun and
Yeah.
nicely written. And
In the second film,
Chamber of Secrets has kind of the most of that. It's the most kind of fun, lighthearted, like
Yeah.
like, let's goof around
It's
with
still-
stuff, and it just feels fun.
it's still definitely meant for 12-year-olds. In the later ones are meant for
Yeah.
older kids, and they get darker and sadder.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the second film is also done really well as far as the film adaptations. The first two are also very light, and like the John Williams score makes them just so like beautiful and magical and like da 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 da. But as I was reading it, I was remembering the second movie and how well all the lines are like pretty much copy pasted from the text of the book to the lines in the movie.
Yeah, I really like it when adaptations directly take lines and stuff, like the Watchmen movie. Even though I hate Zack Snyder because of Batman vs Superman, he did a great job of translating Watchmen to a film. I think
Oh,
All of
nice.
the lines of dialogue are there, and like they're all
Oh, sweet.
structurally.
I'll probably
well
enjoy
done.
that then because
And
I love
like,
reading Watchmen.
more books. Any more? Any good
Oh
ones?
yeah. I went on a bit of a Stephen King kick because I love Stephen King and I also want to read everything he's ever written. But that's really hard because he comes out with like 3 books a year because he's crazy. This one is not very well known. It's called Bag of Bones, and I don't know when he wrote it. But he's just always spitting out books, and even the lesser known ones are really, really good, like just compared to books in general. This one, the back of it, it's called like a haunted love story, which, I mean, I don't really know if I'd call it a love story as much. It's kind of about a guy who's got writer's block and is mourning his dead wife, and at the same time he's kind of like having trouble helping this other widow out with like a lawsuit with her child, and he's struggling because he's like also got feelings for her and he also loves her kid, and he's going through like this house that he's staying at his old lake house is haunted by his wife and like some other ghosts that are trying to like muck up his life, and this other guy's like trying to screw up his life with like because he's trying to help this girl out with getting custody with her kid, and the kid's grandfather is like throwing rocks at him trying to drown him in a lake, and it's a really like dark, scary book, but it's so well written. Stephen King is called the master of horror, and I don't know if he deserves that title, not because he doesn't know how to write really horrific things, but because his books are so much more than just like scary nonsense. It's all about the characters, and he gives each character he's ever invented such depth and such background and such like relatable thoughts and minds that they feel like authentic real people. So when I read them, I rarely ever get like terrified, but I just get so engrossed in these characters' lives that I love reading these books, and I love the way he writes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never read a Stephen King novel, so I don't read. I'm sorry. I don't really have much to say. I have nothing to weigh in on this, to be honest.
I think my favorite book he's written is my favorite sequel ever. Dan, I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite sequel ever? Movie, book, video game, anything. And you can't say Shrek 2.
Oh man, that is a tough... It's either Spider-Man 2 or Captain America Winter Soldier.
Okay, not bad.
It's one of those.
Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one, I'm assuming?
Or Captain America, obviously not the Amazing
Obviously.
Spider-Man. Or Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. But I don't really count that as a sequel because it's kind of just one whole thing.
Wait, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's... I don't know. It's kind of a big connecting
it's not really
series.
a sequel, it's more of a continuation kind of thing.
My favorite sequel ever is the sequel to The Shining. It is probably written, like, I want to say, like, 30 years after The Shining was written. And, like, The Shining's amazing. It's one of the best books ever. You need to read it. I don't care if you've never read a book in your life. The Shining is fantastic. And have you at least, like, seen the movie or seen, like, parts of it?
Nope.
Did you know at all what it's about?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm uncultured filth.
The Shining is wonderful! It's so good! I don't even know how to explain it to you. It's one of the best horror stories ever. House takes over his mind. But anyway, a sequel to The Shining was written like 30 years after the first book, and the kid in the first book grows up and has the same like alcoholic problems that his father did, and there's just this whole story where crazy alien type people come and are trying to kill children, and he's got to like team up with this little girl who's got the same psychic powers that he does. And man, I'm terrible at telling stories. I make everything sound so boring, but this book is so well written. And like I said earlier about Bag of Bones, with all of Stephen King's characters having such depth, and like it goes so deep into the things they're thinking and the things they're feeling that you know them as like real people, that you just care about what's going on. It's called Dr. Sleep, and it's the best sequel ever. Best sequel ever written. And sequels just get better as they age, because same with like Toy Story 3. No, not Shrek 2. I was going to say like Toy...
Shrek 2 is perfect.
Be quiet.
We joke about Shrek, and we joke about Shrek is love and Shrek is life, but Shrek 2 is genuinely an excellent
Shrek
film.
and Shrek 2 are good
that.
films. I'm not denying that.
Yeah, they're incredible films.
But I was going to make the comparison
They're
to
so
like Toy Story 3 coming out 10 years after the first one and being so good.
That's a good point.
But yeah, Dr. Sleep had such a big gap
Finding
between
Dory coming out
that and The Shining. Just be quiet. And so I'm surprised it was so good, just being so long after the first one was written. Yep, Stephen King's great, and I'm going to read a lot more of his stuff.
Good.
And I also read The Martian.
I keep meaning to watch the movie of that.
Man, I don't know how a book like this would translate to a movie, although I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
So I loved reading this book. I love Mars. Is like my favorite. I mean, I almost said fictional place, but that's because most of the things I've read in it have been sci-fi.
Mars isn't real.
It's not.
It's a figment of our imagination. The government lied. The government made up Mars. It's not a real place.
I look up into the sky every night and I can see Mars, and it's too small for anyone to live on. Okay.
You should try and play the new Doom game then, because that's all set on Mars, as far as I can tell, or at least the start of it is.
Okay.
See if Spiegel will pick that up. I don't know, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
If you like Mars so much.
I do really like Mars. I love the Edgar Rice Burroughs tales, John Carter of Mars, and Edgar Rice Burroughs is also a fantastic author. He also wrote the Tarzan series, and oh my gosh, that man just knows how to write characters that I fall in love with, because I love Tarzan and I love John Carter, and I love those books so much. The Martian's really interesting sci-fi though, because it's extremely realistic and really modern. It makes a lot of like modern references to make you sort of relate with what's going on. And the guy who wrote it, this is gonna sound dumb because I can't remember like what kind of scientist he is, but he's like, you know, a really smart, educated dude. And every paragraph that's written is like chemistry and physics and math and all this stuff, and I need 50 kilometers of this liquid to go with 10 kilograms of times 10 to the 23rd hydrogen, blah. And now I can drink water and grow potatoes on Mars. And I'm just like reading all this and I'm like, I don't know how I find this interesting because I don't understand any of it, but I don't know. I enjoy going through what he's going through when I'm like, he's like, I'm struggling to survive and I have to do all this just to create food. And I'm like, okay, I want you to survive too. So I'm going to go through all this like really boring school stuff with you. And then like the next paragraph will be like, all my potatoes died and I'm screwed. And I'm like, oh no, you're going to die. And I'm like, I feel the fear that he does and I feel the joy that he does. And every time he gets hurt, I'm like, oh, I'm so scared. It's really well written. I loved it. Yeah.
I need to watch that movie at some point.
I want to read more adventures like this because
Mars.
Because Mars. I mean, I would like this
fictional Mars.
I want to go to a fictional place like Mars. It reminds me of an article I read once where it's like 10 places in Disney films that are so beautiful you wish they were real, and one of them was Notre Dame Cathedral.
Oh God.
Like, yeah. I wish Notre Dame was real too. Okay.
Classic. That's pretty great. Did you read any other books?
Well, two of the other ones I read were graphic novels. One was Pretty Deadly by Kelly Sue DeConnick, and she's like my favorite comic book author now because she wrote Captain Marvel, and she also wrote she's writing a series called Bitch Planet, which is really, really well done. But Pretty Deadly, I haven't read anything like this ever before. It's like modern folklore, kind of, with like an old Western setting. So it's not really modern. I guess it's like Western folklore, and it's really dark and disturbing, and it like mixes reality with mythology in a way where like normally when you read stuff that has kind of mythology mixed in, the characters are always like, oh no, that can't be real, that's a myth. And then they realize the myth is real, but like, in this story, like, mythology sort of lives alongside reality, where, like, mythology is a part of, like, what they're all going through. And it's all about, like, death, kind of, having a child with this person a long time ago, and that child comes back and is, like, trying to seek vengeance on a bunch of people, and this other main character has to, like, sort of take the place of death. I cannot remember, but it's a really, really well done story. The art is really, really cool, and you gotta read it. Because reasons.
I keep meaning to. I'll put it on my list. Like, I have so many comic books that I need to read.
I know. And it's told like you're sitting in your grandpa's lap and he's telling you an old story about, look, oh, I have this story that my grandpa told me and I'm going to tell it to you. And it's like, because it's kind of almost limerickal, where a lot of the narration seems like it's a poem. And part of it's being told from the point of view of this rabbit and butterfly. So it's just like an old fairy tale being told to you, and I felt like I was reading a really old book in like with modern colors and artwork mixed in. It was quite the magical experience. And I'll talk about this really quick, but I read book 4 of Why the Last Man by Brian K. Vaughan, and this is an excellent graphic novel, and it's all about at some point in modern day when something happens where all the men and all the mammals with Y chromosomes in the world just die, except one guy and his capuchin monkey. And
it seems to always be capuchin
monkeys. It's all capuchin monkeys with me, isn't it? But this is a great story. Books are a lot bigger than volumes. So right now, I finished book 4, and there's one more coming out. And I'm really excited to see how it ends. Because it's not like all the men can just be brought back. Like, all the women and all the male mammals on Earth are just still alive and trying to survive, because it's kind of an eye-opening experience for the reader to be like, oh, like, the world would freaking fall apart, like, if just all the men died, because almost all the positions of power are held by men, and all of a sudden this like
Yeah.
really lowly woman in the government has to rise up and be the president of the United States because everyone in power was a man. And like
Yeah.
a lot of the jobs are held by men, and so all of a sudden there's like no one working supermarkets and no one running electricity and no one like running civilization because like 3/4 of the jobs are all dead, and now everyone has to like learn new skills and fight each other for jobs and food, and everyone's killing each other because they're all scared, and there's all these rumors going around that this one man is still alive, and some people are like, well, we should kill him because women survived for a reason because women are better, and there's this group of crazy feminazis that are like hating men, and there's this other group that are like, well, we should all go find that guy and have sex with him so that we can like, because we miss having sex and we want to make babies because we need to repopulate the earth somehow. And I'm just like, I don't really understand the point of this book. I mean, I feel like there's so many different purposes going on, but it's a really, really fun read. It's very chaotic and really well written, and the main character's always making jokes about like TV shows he's watched and books he's read, so it's really funny. He's a funny guy.
Cool.
Brian K. Vaughan's a really good writer.
Yeah, he is. He is pretty solid. Okay, so that's, I think, all of the books you read this month, right?
Yes, lots of good books.
Okay, so shall we kick off into my movies? I've watched quite a few because I was kind of behind. I needed to get like completely on track for the halfway point. I've currently watched 26 movies out of 52.
Not bad.
And so yeah, I have,
Not bad for
I have
halfway
6
through the
movies
year.
to talk about this month. I'm glad I'm halfway through being done with having to do this show with you. Are we going to do this again in 2017?
Obviously.
I assume so,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool. Just thought I'd check. So yeah, the first movie I watched this month, and you're not going to like this, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But I thought you watched that last month.
There's a sequel, my friend.
I thought you watched
Teenage
that.
Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Out of the Shadow. No, I watched the first
Oh.
one. I watched the second one this
Well, it's
month.
not like I was paying attention when you talked about it. Gosh.
Just no, chill out, right? Because Teenage
Chill
Mutant Ninja
out.
Turtles 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is so fun. Like, it's so solid. It's such a good, light-hearted action movie. The turtles themselves, like, they're dynamic, and they're like, the friendship and brotherhood is so like clearly there, and they're just so entertaining to watch. Because like when you think of like, because I never watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or any of that in the past. Like these movies are my first kind of like experience with this whole franchise, and I always kind of assumed like, oh, they're just generic turtles. The only way you can tell these characters apart is by like
masks.
the color of their headband. How lame. But like in these movies, and probably in the old cartoons, I don't know, I've never watched them, but in these movies specifically, like they're so fleshed out in
Like they've all got personalities.
yeah,
All right.
Each of the turtles is their own thing. Like Donatello is my favorite turtle because he's like this nerdy little, like he's slightly scrawny and kind of clearly weaker than the others, but he's smart, so he's kind of got the
All right.
brains and the strategy for them. And
That's cool then, I
like
guess.
Raphael is like this big muscle head kind of jock who's just like acting rash, and it's just good. It's just like they're such good characters, and they're so kind
What's
of
Machiavelli
enjoyable to
like?
watch. You're the worst.
Oh, is he the worst? You're the worst
No,
turtle.
you are.
You don't even
You're
get
the
a
worst.
mask. You wear black bandana on your face because it's the worst color, and it doesn't even have eye holes in it. You just have to go around blind because you don't deserve to be a part of the world.
So I'm Daredevil in season 1 of Daredevil then. I'm fine with that. Like, that's fine with me. But anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. It's so good. Like, it introduces Bebop and Rocksteady in live action, and they're absolutely hilarious. They're just two of the best characters. They're really enjoyable. The plotline, as with the first one, is absolute drivel, right? Everything that happens is nonsense, but
Is it basically?
But it's 'cause
I guess you wouldn't know. It just sounds like it's like the cartoons that everyone watched when they were kids, just like lengthened out into a movie. Like they took like one episode
Yeah, I
that they've
assume
never
so.
made a
Like-
cartoon of, and we're like, this will be the live action movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's drivel. It's like, the whole movie is nonsense, but it's really enjoyable nonsense. It's absolute drivel,
All
but
right.
it's good drivel.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I suppose.
It's so fun.
Definitely
It's
enjoyed
just
movies that
enjoyable.
are enjoyable drivel before. So.
Yeah, like
Not bad.
It's. I'm not saying this is like a work of art or anything. It's definitely not. But it hits kind of a lot of soft spots in me where I'm just like smiling the whole time, and it's just enjoyable. And Stephen Amell gets to show up as Casey Jones, and it's really good seeing Stephen Amell in a role that isn't awful, because he's played Green Arrow in Arrow for so long, and Arrow hasn't been good in like 2 seasons. So having seen him in Arrow seasons 3 and 4 and being like, this is crap, Stephen Amell, you're a talented actor, get out of there, and then being able to see him in something that's actually enjoyable to watch is just, it's so nice.
So a non-enjoyable piece of crap to an enjoyable piece of crap.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a shame though, because Arrow season 1 and 2, excellent. 3 and 4, garbage. But yeah, that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
All right.
Good movie.
Cool.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'd recommend it. Like, if you want a fun, goofy movie and you don't want to take it seriously, like...
I mean, sometimes it's just fun to, like, turn the critical part of your brain off to just sit and, like, laugh at something. Because, you know, it's... Sometimes we just can't find stuff that we enjoy in life, and, like, we need to sit and smile. And so finding something that makes you smile is a good thing. Even if it makes me frown.
Yeah.
You are ridiculous.
Yeah, like, it's... I wouldn't say go out of your way to see it, but if someone says, hey, do you want to go and see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2? You might as well. It's fun. It's a good movie. So then I watched... This is where I don't think you're going to be happy with me.
Oh, no, I'm scared.
I watched Kill Bill.
And?
It was...
Dan.
It was okay.
No, it was not. It was wonderful.
Do you want to know my
did you just watch Volume 1?
Kill Bill? And no, I didn't watch... No, I didn't. Okay. I do not watch a sequel to a film.
It's not a sequel. It's all one thing.
Wasn't invested. Okay. If I got halfway through a film and then I had to go out of my way to watch the second half of the film and I wasn't invested in the story in the slightest, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch that second half.
I guess.
I couldn't be bothered. I was just like, I don't care enough.
If you didn't enjoy the first half, you're not going to enjoy the second half, but I don't see how you wouldn't enjoy the first one in the first place.
Issue numero uno. Non-linear storytelling does not work for this movie. It works in some movies. That structure can work, but in this movie, it didn't, like, having the scenes all out of order like that didn't make me want to watch. I was
That's
just like,
so
what
weird.
is... Why,
I totally disagree.
Why are you showing me...
I love that the first scene started out with, like, you not even knowing who she was, and she just bursts into this random woman's house and starts kicking butt. It's great.
I mean, I'm gonna go on to the action in a second, but, like, I don't know, it just... The way that story was structured made me not care about that character in the slightest. There was no reason for me to care about her, like, arc for vengeance, and whether or not part 2 gives you that, I honestly don't care, but, like, taking this as a film, because that's what it is, I refuse this, you shouldn't criticize part 1 on its own because part 2 is part of this. It's... shut up, right? I can criticize Fellowship of the Ring on Fellowship of the Ring's merits. I can criticize Spider-Man 1 on Spider-Man 1's merits. It's a sequel, shut up. So
that's not even the same.
So I had no reason to care about this character, right? This woman, I know nothing about her. I know nothing, it feels like this movie wants us to empathize with her just because she lost a baby, but that's not enough for me. I need to see why this character is worth caring about. Like, if you're going to give me a vengeance arc, I need to know why they want vengeance. And I feel like, they killed her baby and almost killed her, is almost a cop-out, because I never saw what she was like before that. I never saw, like, a character there. I just saw a killing machine on a path for vengeance. So to me, this it's not a character. Like, so if you take, like, a similar story in Deadpool, you haven't seen it, but Deadpool takes a vengeance story, like, in that story, Wade is out for vengeance, but it does a very good job of showing you what Wade was like before the thing that made him go out to vengeance. Like, it shows you who he was before that, and then it shows you what the person did to him and why it impacts him so bad and why he wants that vengeance so badly. So you kind of empathize with that character and you understand why he wants to do what he's doing.
I don't know, that's all good. It just, that was never a problem for me with Kill Bill. And, you know, in Volume 2, they do go more into, like, empathizing with her as a person and give those reasons, but, like, I just don't see, like, it's not necessary. Like, I loved watching her be a killing machine and go through all the people she had vengeance for. I wasn't necessarily invested in, like, the vengeance itself. Like, yeah, I hate them and I love you, so kill them. Like, I just felt like the bride's power and strength was, like, emanating through, like, the TV screen. And, like, I felt everything she was feeling when she was going on her, like, angry vengeance strikes. That I love the way she was going about her whole mission. And I thought the action was really well done, and I thought the story was great. Similar to the way Stephen King writes. I love the way Tarantino writes his dialogue and like puts things in his stories that man, I'm not being very eloquent right now.
Are you good? Like,
no,
what,
I don't know what to say.
do you want me to?
Yeah.
Do you want me to just continue with my points?
Fine,
Because I have them written
me.
down concisely.
That's fine. Go on.
Okay, so I would be able to excuse a movie that, you know, doesn't tell a very good story, in my opinion, if it had action that I cared about. Like, I can excuse Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' plot because the action is hilarious for me to watch. But issue number duo, I don't like the action in this movie.
That's weird.
I don't think the action was well directed. The stunts look awkward and fake a lot of the time, and the fight scenes just, I think it might be because I'm spoiled by things like a lot of superhero movies have these really well choreographed fight scenes, and like Arrow season 2 has like some of the most perfect like fight choreography in anything. So to me, the fights in Kill Bill just look awkward and weird, and there's just all these little details in the fight scenes. Like, I don't like the way blood just sprays out in a weird mist. First of all,
that is
how that
Tarantino
happens?
being like very tongue in cheek, being like cutting someone's like hand off and like just like a fire hose of blood goes everywhere, and like that's very cartoony for how realistic I feel his movies are. But it's so weird that you say that because I feel like the action in Kill Bill is much more authentic looking than action I've seen in any kind of superhero movie. It's like
I can't know.
I'm just feeling like the
it
opposite.
just looks really clunky to me.
It does not.
Yeah,
it looks so much more real.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm
These
so
are
not
real
with you
people
on
fighting
that,
each
but-
other. This is not Iron Man and Ant-Man shrinking and flying around.
Captain America Winter Soldier, that is the best choreography in anything. Don't even argue with that. It's amazing. But like, okay, so how can you say like, oh, this fight choreography is so real, and then just sudden stupid blood sprays? Like, it takes me out of it. If something's going to take itself really seriously and then have something ridiculous midway through, like, I'd be fine with a random blood spray if the whole film wasn't taking itself seriously. It's just so disjointed. And then like, I don't know if it was just me, but the sound effects of like her sword and knives and stuff moving, they sounded really awkward. I don't know what it was. They just sound weird and unnatural, and it kept taking me out of it.
It sounds like Tarantino's just not meant for you.
Maybe that's it. But yeah, this film just did not appeal to me at all. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't think it was a bad film. It was fine, but there were so many things that I was just like, and it just,
that's all right.
Because like there are some really good scenes. Like I really enjoyed that scene where she wakes up in the hospital and then just destroys that guy.
Yeah.
Like, without the use of her legs. That scene's really good. And the action is at times okay. Like, And I really liked, there's a segment where they're introducing Lucy Liu's character and they do the animated segment. She was great. Like, that animated segment was great. It made me care about that character. Like,
that I love. Like, Tarantino will go out of his way to be like, here's this, not necessarily minor character, but like a tertiary character, and here's the whole background on her, and here's a bunch of random dialogue from all her little gangster buddies that we don't necessarily need, but helps it feel like they're real people and they're more authentic.
Yeah, I mean, I found that I cared more about that character than I cared about the bride. Like, if she was the protagonist of this movie, and it was just a movie about her tearing stuff up and being awesome, I would have loved it. Because there's that scene, that really good scene where she's, like, talking to the board, and one of them, like, starts giving her crap, and she just straight up decapitates him.
I love that scene.
That's a really good scene. It's just that then it went back to the stupid bride plotline, and I was like, I don't care about you. I don't care about your...
But because you got her background, I cared about her dying. I was like, yeah, kill her.
I wanted her to win.
No, you're wrong.
I wanted her to win, and she was so good.
Well,
whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't want to be friends anyway.
So little of that movie appealed to me in a strong way. I don't know. I don't know what it was about it. It just didn't appeal to me. And
I don't know.
At this point, I'm like,
you're just wrong.
At this point, I'm like, is it worth me watching other Tarantino films? Like, is it worth me watching Pulp Fiction? Because this was a movie I didn't know that much about going into, so that didn't detract from it. But like Pulp Fiction, I'm like, I don't know if I want to bother watching.
Well, it's also got the non-linear storyline.
Oh, does it do that again?
Yeah.
The thing is, that can work for some movies, right? It works incredibly well for a movie I watched last month, Predestination, because it's time travel and it flips between timelines and like slowly reveals things. But this story could have been told in a linear fashion, and I think it would have been better that way. I think it could have just linear fashion, but with flashbacks to her before the thing happened. It just, I just
loved it the way it was. I thought it was perfect.
I mean, good for you then.
And
like,
the very ending, the very end line, like, didn't matter to you at all.
No, I was just like,
oh my
okay,
gosh.
There's a thing that happens with the character that I don't care about and her backstory. I just didn't, I don't know, I struggled so hard to be invested in that story. I don't know why, I just couldn't.
Weird. You're a weirdo.
But
you're a weird weirdo.
Speaking of Tarantino and Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson films, Snakes on a Plane.
Okay. What, you watched that?
So I was like, yeah. Okay, if you had to guess, why do you think the snakes ended up on the plane?
Someone put them there.
Nah, but why?
To be dumb? Well, because a herpetologist was traveling to Peru?
That's exactly what you... Okay, going into Snakes on a Plane, I assumed it was just an accident. I assumed it was just someone was transporting a bunch of snakes. Do you want to know the real reason why a bunch of snakes were loose on a plane?
I thought it was terrorism.
Okay. So some dude witnesses, like, a gangster killing a guy. And then the guy, instead of just being like... And then, like, because he's going... The guy who witnessed the murder is then going to, like, confess in court in LA or something, so he has to get on a plane. So this gangster... Instead of just hiring a sniper or a hitman or some thugs, like, to beat up the protection and kill the guy, what he does is he sneaks a bunch of snakes onto a plane with a release mechanism, and that's not enough for him. He also, as all of the passengers are getting onto this plane, he gets one of his dudes to sneakily spray them all with a special snake pheromone that makes the snakes extra aggressive. And it's just like, if you can get a guy into the airport to do that, why not just slip poison in somewhere?
Because that doesn't
why do
make
this
a movie,
elaborate
I
snake
guess.
thing?
Wait, are the snakes even venomous?
Yeah.
Okay, so the snakes are actually killing people. See, I was under the impression that everyone was just sitting on a plane and some little, like, garden snakes got released and were slithering around at people's feet, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, the snakes are gonna eat my complimentary airport peanuts, and they're gonna get into my luggage, and I can't fly. Just wait till the plane lands. Like, snakes aren't even gonna do anything. But I don't...
No, it's a whole bunch of, like, different snakes. Like, they have, like, tiny little venomous ones knocking about. They have, like, at one point I think there's a massive, I don't know if it's an anaconda or a python or whatever, but it's this massive thing.
Oh.
And, like, this movie is so dumb, but...
Were there any rock pythons? Have you seen a rock python? They're, like, little, like, 2 feet long, and they curl up into a ball, and you can't even see their head, and so you just, like... You get to hold a snake as a ball, and its, like, skin moves, and you just carry it around. It's so cute!
That's so cute. I love that.
I want the rock python.
But yeah, it's entertaining to watch Samuel L. Jackson just fighting a bunch of snakes. Like, at one point he picked, like, there's this, like, really bitchy woman who has, like, a tiny dog, and she's, like, riching up herself. And Samuel L. Jackson just picks up the dog and chucks it into a mouth of one of the giant snakes. And it's just hilarious. And, like, there's a point where 2 people are, like, they're screwing in like the plane toilet, and 2, like, snakes just come and start biting them on the junk. It's amazing. So good. But yeah, it's super dumb, but it's enjoyable in its dumbness. So that's Snakes on a Plane.
All right, then.
The next movie I watched was X-Men Apocalypse, which I have a lot of notes about, but I'm probably not going to get through them all. I'm going to try and rush this. X-Men Apocalypse has some really good parts, but it also has some bad, and it kind of balances out into this massive kind of mix of, like, meh. Because, like, the really good stuff is, like, in the early scenes, Magneto has some, like, genuinely powerful emotional scenes. Like, Michael Fassbender delivers this genuinely incredible, like, performance, and, like, some of those early scenes are amazing. But then that character just gets dragged into this boring, like overwhelming, who cares kind of plotline, and it's like, oh, okay. And then, like, there's, like in Days of Future Past, people who have seen Days of Future Past will know there was a Quicksilver scene, and the Quicksilver scene in this one is cool, and it's really fun. But the thing is, it shows Quicksilver moving at a speed that Quicksilver should not move at, because okay, the speed at which Quicksilver can move in this film is broken, because any villain he could defeat. He's so overpowered in the speed he goes, and it breaks the entire universe, because, like, at the end, spoilers for X-Men Apocalypse, who cares, it's been out for ages, Quicksilver kind of takes on Apocalypse and starts trying to fight him, because he's so fast that Apocalypse, like, can't really see him.
Yeah.
And he just starts beating Apocalypse, like literally punching him through the air, and we see it at Quicksilver speed, so, like, like like Apocalypse is slowly falling through the air, and then Quicksilver runs to the other side and punches him, and he keeps doing it. But that doesn't like Apocalypse, like for some reason is able to just realize he's there and trap him in the ground for some reason. But any other villain would not be able to fight that. So Quicksilver is overpowered and broken, and like now any conflict in any future X-Men film is broken because you're just like, Quicksilver could just fix this. And then like all of the majority of the characters in this film should, like, they're so underdeveloped that they feel like they shouldn't be in there. Like, I really enjoyed Quicksilver, but he's just like, he's barely there. Then like Angel, Psylocke, Storm, and Nightcrawler are all fun and cool to see, but they, like, Psylocke has about 4 lines of dialogue in this entire film, so it just feels like a waste to even have her there. And then like Jubilee is in this movie, but I don't think they actually say her name at any one point in the film. She's just there as a background character for no reason.
And you'd only know she was there if you like already knew who she was.
Yeah, but she hangs out with the main cast as if she's supposed to be important, but she's never introduced, and she never uses her powers, and she never actually does anything, so it's like, why are you here? It's so confusing to me. Like I think some of the scenes with her, I think there were scenes that elaborated on her, but they got cut, so it's kind of just like, the end result is just she's there, and you're just like, why are you here, Jubilee? Why are you here? And then like they shoehorn in like this Wolverine cameo that didn't need to be there, but interestingly, Wolverine is one of the best like smaller characters in this film, because spoilers for X-Men Apocalypse, who cares though, it's been out for ages. The Wolverine cameo is just him tearing dudes apart, and like this movie has a lot of really savage like brutal action scenes, and this Wolverine one is so cool. Like, he's just tearing people apart, like he's primal rage, and it's amazing. But then like even characters that this movie wants you to feel things for feel kind of underdeveloped. Like Cyclops and Jean Grey are kind of supposed to be this big focus in the movie, but I never really felt like they were actually characters. They just kind of felt like pieces of cardboard that occasionally spoke, and it just wasn't worth having them there, to be honest. And it's annoying because Sophie Turner, who they've got in to play Jean Grey, is a great actress, and if you watch Game of Thrones, you know she's a great actress, but she just is wasted. Her talent is wasted on this movie. But then the film kind of redeems itself with Apocalypse actually being kind of an imposing villain. But like, people have whined about his design, but I actually think he was done quite well, and like, he's decently menacing, and he is kind of imposing at times, and his plotline is drivel, but it's an X-Men film, so who cares? But like, I think he was fine. The opening scene in Egypt, where you kind of see him like, he's not even awake for it, but he's still like, his influence is there, and like his followers are being badass. That scene is amazing. Like, there's this really good opening scene, and you're like, oh my god, is this film actually going to be good? And then it kind of slowly goes downhill till the end, where the end is just like really kind of anticlimactic, and you're just like, this feels like it was weirdly paced, and kind of the ending feels a bit rushed, and they win because of a Deus Ex Machina, and overall it's an enjoyable movie. Like, the action is well shot, and the action is kind of well done, but overall it just kind of becomes mediocre because the bad drags down the good, I would say. So that was X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh gosh.
I know, right? I needed to get all of that off my chest. Like, it was weighing down on me. Okay. I needed to do that. The next 3 movies I'm going to talk about really quickly because there's not that much I want to like actually say about them.
Okay.
But when I was seeing X-Men Apocalypse, I saw a trailer for a movie called Now You See Me 2, and this trailer, I don't know what it was about it, but the trailer was like, it's about a bunch of magicians doing a heist and using like their magician trick, like not actual magicians, like they can't actually do magic, but like kind of like the trickster, pick a card type magicians, right? And they're going to do a heist. And this trailer, like when I was watching it, I was like, what is this? Look, this looks great. This looks like the sort of movie I'd really enjoy, because it has Jesse Eisenberg, and Jesse Eisenberg's a really good actor. It has Woody Harrelson in it. Daniel Radcliffe's in the sequel. So the moment I got back from seeing X-Men Apocalypse, I was just like, oh my god, that trailer, what was that? Now You See Me. So I instantly went and I found Now You See Me 1, and I watched that. It's really good. I really enjoyed Now You See Me. Like, it's about a bunch of magicians. It was pretty good. Yeah, it's a bunch of magicians just ripping people off and doing it on a stage show. Like, their first stage show is they rob a bank in Paris from Las Vegas, and everyone's like, how did they even do that? And like, like
Who was
they
in
end
the
up
first
being
one? Because
Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Mark Ruffalo was in it as the FBI agent. I don't know who else though.
I feel like the guy from
But,
Natural Born Killers was in there, but I might be wrong. But I cannot remember his name.
Might be, don't know. But like the whole thing kind of keeps you guessing about what's going to happen next, and like it's kind of tense at times, and because it's like the FBI are chasing them down, and you're not really in on it, so you don't really know how they're doing all the tricks until later on when it's explained, and it's enjoyable. Oh, Morgan Freeman's in it as well. Morgan Freeman's good. Like it's got a really good cast. They're just everything's a joy to watch. It's not like a hugely deep movie, but it's a fun movie to just watch through, and it's all well shot and well directed, and I really enjoyed it. Like it's good, and it's nice seeing Jesse Eisenberg in a role that isn't Batman versus Superman, because I like seeing him with a good script. Made me really happy. So then I went into the suggestions for this month, and About Time was a movie suggested by Joe Hunt. This was great. This movie, I was not, because he put it out as like a time travel movie that handles it on an emotional level, and I was expecting it to have way more time travel than it did. Basically, it's kind of a rom-com-esque thing, like it's a British kind of rom-com where the guy can travel back in time within his own timeline.
Yeah.
And he uses, so you know how every like sitcom protagonist is like a bumbling idiot and he messes things up all the time and he constantly like ruins things. It's that, but it's kind of believable that he gets the girl because he just undoes everything and redoes it with like knowing what to say and things. And it kind of stops being a rom-com about halfway through and starts becoming just a story about this guy and his life, and the time travel isn't really that big of an element to it later on. It just becomes
honestly
an emotional
hate
thing.
Time travel. That's funny that you brought that up.
Time travel is really good if it's handled well.
That that movie was suggested to me by a cashier in the department store when I bought a DVD of The Theory of Everything, which is
interesting.
Which is a movie about the story of Stephen Hawking and his wife, and she's like, I really like that movie. It's kind of similar to this movie called About Time, and it's kind of similar in the way it's directed. And I was just like, all right, fine, cool. So yeah, that's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's. I need to watch The Theory of Everything then. Like I keep meaning to. It's on my list. But yeah, like really About Time, it's really well acted. It's really well directed. It's just good. It's just a really good movie. I totally wasn't expecting it, and just. It starts off like at first I was kind of like and then over time it kind of snowballs and gets better and better, and like. It's cool. Great. It's a really good movie. Thank you for suggesting that. Like, that was really good.
Neat.
Then I watched a movie called Clue, based on the board game that was suggested to me by Voyager G0.
Oh gosh.
I don't really know what to. It was enjoyable. It's like a comedy kind of detective thing. There's heavy influences from the board game, like all of the characters, like Professor Plum and the other guys. To be honest, I've only ever played Clue once.
Captain Mustard.
Or Cluedo, as it's called here. Yeah, Captain Mustard.
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard. But like...
Sergeant Seeds.
Sergeant Siege, yeah, that guy, definitely. But it kind of took me a bit of time to kind of get past how it kind of feels dated and it's a little bit cheesy at times, but overall this movie it's a fun watch. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's amazing and I wouldn't say it's like blown my mind or anything, but it's fun. It's definitely enjoyable, and thank you for suggesting it. If anyone else has any suggestions for movies they would like me to watch, put me a comment down below. But before we end this episode, QJ,
I
didn't watch one of those movies. One of those was a lie.
Let's see. Okay. Which ones did you give lots of details about? You gave lots of details about Kill Bill and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and X-Men. Do this on my hands here. That's 3.
Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kill Bill, Snakes on a Plane, X-Men Apocalypse, Now You See Me, About Time, and Clue.
Okay. It's either Now You See Me, About Time, or Clue.
Oh, but which one?
Which one? There's a lot for me to get wrong here. You gave like one detail in this movie, but it might have been a detail you could only have gotten... Well, maybe you got it off Wikipedia. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna guess it was Now You See Me.
Nope, I watched that. Really enjoyed it. Good movie.
All right,
Second
whatever.
guess.
Now see, I really want to say Clue, but you're really good at watching the suggestions. And both the other two that I think you didn't watch were suggestions. But all the others you gave so many details about. I hate this game, and I hate you. Okay, was it Clue?
Nope, I totally watched Clue because it was suggested to me. Good movie, like solid movie.
Okay.
Not amazing, good. That's my review. I already said that, but just to fill time while you think.
Dang it, I hate this.
You've got to get it eventually.
Eventually.
Even if I don't think it won't take you like 7 guesses. You'll get it.
I feel like it probably will.
On like the 4th. No way. There is no way.
Was it Snakes on a Plane?
It was Snakes on a Plane.
All right, not bad.
I did not watch that. Snakes on a Plane though, I've just seen clips of it on YouTube, so I knew enough to kind of form up.
So you knew a couple of those scenes. That was clever.
Yeah, let's be honest.
You did that really well.
Yeah. Well, because I was like, there's no way you're gonna think that X-Men Apocalypse I didn't watch, and like I couldn't do that. I was really hoping you wouldn't believe that I'd seen Kill Bill and not enjoyed it. I was really hoping you'd do that.
Well, you gave plenty of details on that. I feel like the more you talk about a movie, the less of a chance you're lying about it.
Yeah, but the problem you have now is that I know that's your logic. So now
Whatever.
I'm not so much deliberately not talking about certain movies, but I'm with the lie. I'm definitely going to elaborate way more on it than others.
All right, have fun.
But that might be a double bluff. Next month I might not do that. Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
I can't wait for you to just like lie about a movie I've seen. And although you've done that before, and I still didn't guess it right.
Yep. But yeah, I think we're probably running over quite long now. So just before we go, I just want to, as a side note, I want to say Game of Thrones season 6 has been incredible. Best season so far. If you're not watching Game of Thrones, I definitely recommend it. Like, go back to season 1, start at the start.
How are you supposed to watch that if you don't have HBO?
Your fiddly-dee, being a pirate is alright with me. Do what you want, because the pirate is free.
Okay,
stop. You can buy it on iTunes. You can buy it on iTunes.
Oh, so you do have to purchase it.
But also,
that's dumb. I'm not going to do that.
I mean, you don't have to purchase it.
Some of us have really shoddy laptops that if we download anything, they're going to explode.
Well, that's just you. Anyway, yeah, so the Game of Thrones is great. Go back. It's real good. Real good. I definitely recommend that. But I think that's all for this this big ol' Across the Pond. Probably longer than the usual one, but it's cool.
Not too bad.
Bye. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of those. I'm really bad at outros.
Outro. We should just have your little pirate song be the outro.
Yar-har, being a pirate is alright with me.
Sailing
do what
across
you want,
the
'cause a pirate.
pond. La.
Alright, bye. Laters.
Goodbye, everybody.